Hey guys, it's Panda Lee here to have a dog jump on my lap. I'm here to do the first ever game review of my first ever playthrough, LA Noire. As you know, LA Noire was a unique game. I guess you can say it's a unique game. It was created by Rockstar and Team Bondi. Team Bondi no longer exists, thanks to their own stupidity. But to give you a quick recap on what it's about, I'm going to read the back of the case. A dark and violent crime thriller set against the backdrop of 1940s Los Angeles and utilizing revolutionary new facial animation technology, which was pretty sweet. LA Noire blends the breathtaking action of chases and shootouts with true detective work, including interrogations, clue finding, as newly minted Officer Cole Phelps embarks on a desperate search for truth in a city where everyone has something to hide. Now that's a pretty good hook right there. It even talks about the new facial animation, which I'll get to. But on to the review. I'm going to break it down into a few parts. First one, the story. The story is you're Cole Phelps. You are this detective. Well, you start as a patrol officer. And you go through and you solve all these crimes, you find all these clues, you do these interrogations, and eventually you work your way up the ranks. You start as a patrol officer, and then you move on to traffic, and then you move on to homicide, and then you move on to vice, and then ultimately arson, and then the finale. It's pretty cool because all the cases work up to your promotions, and then unfortunately the story takes a sad turn when Cole Phelps is caught sleeping with the club singer at the Blue Room, Elsa Lichtman, the German. So they find out while he's in Vice because his partner, Roy Earl, sold him out in an attempt to make the rest of the police department look good, per se, because of all the problems they had been having with this madam in Los Angeles. So what they do is they rat him out. And what happens is he ends up getting demoted to arson, where basically his whole new purpose is to uncover all this crazy stuff that's been going on with corruption and just people working, paying each other off. And it's a great story. And you get to see these flashbacks back to the war to see what was going on and what they talk about when they reference like Okinawa and Sugarloaf, and you see all the different characters. And especially in Vice, that makes it so much clearer because it's dealing with a morphine heist, which was stolen actually by the people on the ship, which was Cole Phelps' former, soldiers. They were with each other in Okinawa and stuff. So it's pretty crazy to see like everything come full circle. Picking up these newspapers, you get to see some of the backstory in some of the Vice cases and just what goes on with this Dr. Harlan Fontaine and his nutty scheme with this morphine, and Courtney Sheldon, and he's in way over his head. And there's all these different characters. They all have their own story. Nobody's just there. All the detectives are great. I wish I could remember all the people that were in that, but there are just so many actors. And the best part about this new facial recognition technology is you can tell who it is, which is going to lead me to my next point, is the graphics are really awesome. Just this new face animation technology just blows every my dog's trying to jump up. Just blows every other technology out of the water. Like, you can see some of the actors. I actually point out the one guy who plays Leo in Charmed. God forbid I actually knew that one. And you can just recognize their faces. The one guy from Heroes. There's a few other people that I didn't remember, but you can just see them all, and you can tell it's them. You can hear their voice clearly, and you can actually see like them fidget or make these facial twitches, which is what can tell you if they're lying or telling the truth in an investigation, which is really cool. That hasn't been seen in a game where they're just such advanced like twitches or tics in a person that give away if they're telling the truth or not. And on to the gameplay. The gameplay itself was pretty awesome. It's a little repetitive at times, you might think, but I think overall it was really good. What you do is you get to the crime scene, you do an investigation. This music will start while you're in the area of investigation, and it'll make a sound when you're standing over something that can be examined. You pick it up, you examine it. Sometimes it's relevant, sometimes it's not. Like, I must have picked up 1,000,000 beer bottles that weren't relevant whatsoever. But you pick them up, you examine them. Some of them you can, like, you have to tilt to see where it's, to see something, or you have to further examine it. So that's pretty cool, is that it's just not, oh, I picked this up, this is relevant, I picked this up, this isn't. So they went a tiny bit further in that. And another thing I gotta say is the interrogations are pretty sweet, which goes along with the graphics and such, is that you have to watch each person to see if they're, like, you know, fidgeting in their chair, or, you know, looking around like I like to do all the time, and see if they're, like, biting their lip. That's pretty cool, because some people it's a little hard, but think about it. In real life, it's not always easy to tell who's telling the truth and who's lying. Like, sometimes it's obvious, but this one you have to kind of hone in and use your own judgment, which is really cool, because sometimes it's like, I can't tell, they're fidgeting in their chair, but they're looking at me, so you gotta do your own little detective work to figure out, do I think this person's telling the truth? Do I think they're lying? Should I just doubt them? Which is really cool, and as you can see, I got only, I think, like, one question wrong that whole thing, because I didn't have enough evidence, but it's kind of easy to tell, but some I'll admit were a little tricky, and I had to use intuition, I believe, on a few, excuse me, questions. But overall, I think the gameplay is pretty solid, and occasionally you'll do like car chases or something, or these street crimes. The street crimes are pretty interesting. I believe there's 10 per detective rank, like 10 in traffic, 10 in homicide, 10 in vice, and 10 in arson. Some are really, like, kind of basic, like, oh, there's a robbery, chase the car down, or just shoot all the guys. And then there was Cosmic Rays, where I had to chase a nutty dude with a pan on his head wrapped in wire in his underwear until he met his unfortunate end, but that was a pretty good one. So at least there's variety in that. It's not just chase this car, whoop, throw in the case, shoot this guy, shoot that guy, or nothing like that, really. So I have to say the gameplay is pretty sweet. The cases are really solid. Some of them are a little like, just like when you first start out, they seem like a little, you know, basic, but they always get like a little more advanced. It's never just at face value. There's always something crazy, like someone's cheating on someone, someone's been taking a payoff from someone. It's never just what it is. And there's so many different suspects, and you can actually choose who you want to arrest in some cases. But depending on who you pick, you can either get a 2-star or a 5-star rating. I, of course, went with the 5 stars because I was attempting a completionist playthrough, which was not very successful, but hey, you know, I tried. I got all the clues and stuff, and I answered all the questions. I mean, I just happen to have insane vehicle damage, which is somewhat annoying when you're doing, like, cases where you have to chase someone. Just your vehicle damage, just in the chase, can totally screw you out of 5 stars and give you, like, 4 or 3 stars, like what I got. But I guess in reality it makes sense. I mean, who's gonna say you did perfect on a case? Who's gonna give you, what captain's gonna give you 5 stars if you take out half the city? Oh, but yeah, the city was also well laid out, too. I like the landmarks, the actual landmarks, like, Christ Crown of Thorns, the Intolerance set. There were some real ones, like the RKO Theater, Pershing Square, the Brown Derby, which I didn't actually ever find, but that's actually, I know, a landmark. There's a bunch of just nice landmarks, which gives you a rank up, as well as, you know, correct interrogations and such. Just great stuff. Now, the music / sound for it, I liked it, but it's an acquired taste. I will admit, this is in the 40s, and not a lot of today's kids are into that 40s music. Like, the stuff on the radio, that was awful. I hated the stuff on the radio. But I will say, I liked Elsa Lichtman singing. I don't know, it was just something interesting, especially with her accent. I thought it was really good. But just the music was just so awful sometimes, like, I couldn't stand it. And another thing I'll say about the sound, it seems like the siren was a tiny bit louder than it actually should have been. I know a siren for a police car is, in reality, it is pretty loud, but it almost felt like it was just a slight octave too high, especially when, like, Phelps would be talking to his partners in the car. It just seemed like it completely drowned him out almost, like you could not hear these people. So that was slightly annoying. And there were times I just couldn't put on the siren because I couldn't hear anything else. But hey, it is what it is. And I also did the DLCs, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. There are 5 DLCs. 2 in Traffic, 2 in Vice, and 1 in Arson. The 2 Traffic ones, I believe, are The Consul's Car and A Slip of the Tongue. The Consul's Car is about the Argentine consulate's car being stolen, and just recovering this car, finding out who stole it. I have to say, that was a really funny DLC. Like, it was great, it was intriguing, but just the crazy twist. I'm not going to spoil it, you gotta watch it if you want to know the twist, but it takes a complete, like, 180 turn. Just 180s you, like, and it's not even that far into the actual videos, it's just all of a sudden, whoa, blew my mind, and there's just action in it, there's humor, there's crazy tense investigation, so that one I have to say was a good one. Not the world's best, maybe 4 out of 5. Now, A Slip of the Tongue, that was an interesting one. It's about a stolen car ring, and just what, like, how one of the people in the stolen car ring tried to, you know, make a little bit more money by attempting to sell these cars to people. And just because everyone's just slipping up somehow, everyone's getting greedy, and they're trying to find their own way to make more money than they were. So they're getting caught left and right, and just the characters in that one, they were characters. I gotta say, you deal with like this crazy used car dealer who's making these asshole jokes and just being an idiot. You got this girl who thinks she's so smart, but she's just so stupid. You got this smart ass kid. You just got all these crazy characters, so it is very unique. That one I'll also give a 4 out of 5, because that one was pretty solid, but I don't know. I felt like it was just a little something missing. Maybe it was just me. Now, there are no DLCs in Homicide. You're just focusing on all those homicide cases, which I think is smart of them. So, kudos to them for not taking away from what was going on. The next one is in Vice, which I believe is Reefer Madness, which is basically this guy, a rat, I can't remember his name to save my life, but what he does is he's spilling to you and your partner, Roy Earl, he's spilling that they're bringing in this reefer, figure out what reefer means, and they're storing it in soup cans, this Parnell Soup Company. And you have to figure out, is it an inside job, and how deep does it go? Does it just go to the plant? Does it go to the stores? Does it go to just the people that buy it? It's crazy, and you're just doing all this investigating, and you're just looking for people that are connected to it, and there's a way to tell who's connected to it, because they all have this distinctive item on them. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but that one is pretty crazy. And just, oh my god, it's just, that's a good one. That one I think is very unique. It's not every day you come across something like that, so I don't know though. I kind of don't like the Vice DLCs as much. That one there was a lot of back and forth, so I'm going to give that one actually a 3 out of 5. It was really good, the story, but it just felt like sometimes you just had to keep going back and forth. Now, the next one is called A Slip of the Tongue. No. Why did I say A Slip of the Tongue? I'm an idiot. The next Vice one is called The Naked City, which there's no nudity in that one, by the way, so I didn't have to censor anything. It's about this girl who's found dead in her bathtub, overdosed on what they think is morphine, but it was meant to look like a drowning. So you're trying to figure out who wanted to kill this girl, why did they want her dead, and you find out that her life isn't as innocent as it would seem. She makes it out to look like she's a fashion model for this one clothing store, but you find out that the people around her were working together to do all these crazy things, and it comes with a real twist ending. There's like so many people involved, but they all go out in their own special way. There's all sorts of crazy clues. That one I really, really liked. It's a little long. There are some slightly tedious spots, but you know what? Overall, I think the story was amazing. I think it worked out great. So I actually, because it's my favorite, give that one a 5. I don't know if everyone agrees with me. They might give it a 3 or 4, but I give that one a 5. That one was just awesome to me. And the final DLC is called The Nicholson electroplating. Yeah, that's what it is. That one just right from the bat, boom, it grips you within the first minute. It's just insane. There's this big explosion. It takes out like an entire like street. It takes out, I think they said 6 blocks. It's this huge explosion. It is just so crazy. And you're trying to figure out why did it, well, you figure out why it goes off, but it's like, what caused it to go off? Why are who are these people involved? What are they doing that's involved in this explosion? And you get to these crooked cops and all sorts of crazy stuff. The scientist that was trying to make money out from under his company. There's spies. It's super awesome. There's a puzzle in there that really kind of tripped me up for a minute. I actually had to stop the recording because I couldn't remember, but I remembered, of course, as soon as I realized I was doing the right thing, but I slipped myself up, so that puzzle was a little complicated, but overall, I think that story was just awesome. It was a great story. It hooked you right from the get-go, and the characters and just the depth of what they were doing, nobody was working together, but they were working together. It's so intricate, and I thought it was really good. It has action, suspense, awesomeness. It was a great one. So that one I also give a 5 out of 5, because even though arson itself is not always the fun cases, that DLC made it a fun desk to work at. So the DLCs, you know my opinion on, but what do I think of the overall game on a scale of 1 to 10? I have to say there are times when I'm doing like a chase or a street crime where I'll fail because they go through these little tiny alleys, and sometimes your car just cannot make those sharp turns, but that's not really the game's fault. It really isn't. It's just you got to be prepared. You got to be able to turn on a dime. So it's a little much, and sometimes driving from location to location is just irritating because you want to get that trophy to drive like 194.7 miles, I believe it is. But at the same time, it's like you can have your partner drive, and it's so much easier. So sometimes the driving, just because it's such a big area, they actually capture Los Angeles, it's such a big area, that can be a little annoying at times, but the cases are great. There's always something to them. The characters are all different in their own special way. They all got their own dynamic thing going on. There's always character evolution. They change as the time goes on. There's this whole backstory. Like, forget the cases, just the story of each of the characters and how they come together and what's causing all this, like, mayhem and chaos and corruption. It was beautifully done, especially with the face recognition. Every actor that they got to do it fit their part. Nobody just stood out as like, why did they cast this person for that? So overall, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to give LA Noire a 9 out of 10, and I think it really deserved it. I would love to have an LA Noire 2, but unfortunately, Team Bondi is no more. You guys can look that up on the internet, find out what happened to them, and it's a shame, because they had a great game right here. If they had made a second one, it would have sold. I'm pretty sure an LA Noire 2 or something similar along those lines would have sold like crazy. But hey, that's how the case closes. That was an awful joke, but anyway, I'm Panda Lee. My official rating of LA Noire is a 9 out of 10. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree and what your opinions are of my review, what your own opinions are of DLCs, the gameplay, the actors, blah blah blah, all that fun stuff. So, I'm Panda Lee. That's my official review. Up next is going to be the playthrough of Heavy Rain. Stay tuned for that.